Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.
Hey guys, I'm going to give you the report for the 16th this week. Been talking to a lot of friends and guides, so the bite is happening around here. Let's go with the hottest one right now. I think is sturgeon. So Ricky, he was out on a delta. He had the Elliott family out, and they were out by the Martinez area. They caught quite a few, and I think they caught a nice oversized, but they're spread out throughout the whole system. Just talking to people, the hottest place I think right now, especially for guys that fish off the bank, head up to Knight's Landing. They're catching a ton of oversized fish up there. They're using roe and eel if you can find it. But what they're doing is they're fishing, a lot of guys are doing it at night now, and they're fishing on these sandbars. So somewhere where the river bends and it's more shallower, because the fish will come up at night and feed on these shallow shoals. But remember, if you get oversized, you got to turn loose. So that is probably the hottest thing right now. So the fish are all over in the whole system. Second, I think, is stripers. This is the time of the year to catch stripers. I had quite a few friends out doing really good. Had one friend out actually on Saturday, and he was fishing somewhere over there by Collinsville, out there in Rio Vista Dawn. And they caught quite a few. Sent me quite a few pictures of 10 to 15 pound fish, and they're throwing fish traps and S-wavers. Tom, he was over down off the McCollum over there, him and Deborah, and they caught some, I think they had 3, but they looked like around 7, 8 pound fish, and they're throwing fish traps. So the fish are all over the system. I think you can even start catching them on bait right now too, if you'd like. The Port of Sacramento also has them. So they're all spread throughout the whole Delta system right now. Then I would say I would look at trout fishing. Big Al, he's been up at Comanche, and he's been doing really well. He told me he has clients, so he's off the water by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're catching them trolling speedy shiners. When you troll speedy shiners, you're gonna let it out the back of the boat about 100 feet. And you might add a 1/4 ounce weight in front of it, about 3 feet, and you're going to go 3 to 5 miles an hour, and you'll catch them real quick. He said it's just on fire right now, and I know a lot of guys are fishing off the bank using power baits. You know, when the truck comes and dumps and releases, you can also catch them. You can go to California Fishing Game's website, and they tell you where they stock. So if they tell you they're stocking in a certain lake, you could go there and catch them. Next thing I think would be bass, because I do a lot of bass fishing here down in the Delta, but it's also, I think the premier lake right now is Lake Orville. 40 to 50 fish days are very common. You can catch them on topwater, this time of the year, topwater, drop shotting and shaky heads. Underspins are real good. So there's different ways you can catch them. Here down in the Delta, I've been catching a ton of them flipping brush hogs. You know, you guys could watch my video coming up on brush hogs. I'm showing you how to do everything with it, from putting the weight on to putting the lure on straight. Just something to help you catch more fish. One of the things this week, my producer was mentioning that the fishing was a little bit slower this week than last week, because last week we had a phenomenal week out here flipping these brush hogs. Well, you gotta understand, down here in Delta, you have 2 tides every day. One is a higher tide, meaning that the water rises up higher, and then when it protrudes out. So last week we had the higher tide in the morning, so when the water's high in the spring on pre-spawn bass, high tide is my #1 time to go. I can look at the tide charts and I know where I'm going to go, and I'll go in these staging areas where the fish are starting to move up to look the areas to spawn. This week was totally opposite. Get there around the same time, the water's gone because we're on the lower tide. Even though it was high, it was almost 2 feet lower. Well, I'm only in 3 feet, so I got a foot now, so obviously the fishing is not as good. So there's 2 tides a high and a low. Keep an eye out for that. It's also better for stripers and sturgeon because they like to feed on the faster tides. So down the road, look for that video I come out talking about that. So if you want to catch kokanee, I highly recommend go to Bowler's Barr. You could go there, the limit's 10 there. It's easy pickings. Go up the river arm, just graft them and start trolling. And I hear they're anywhere from 25 to 45 feet. Berryessa, remember I did that video about the lake turning over? And this year, I don't think it's gonna turn over. But I had a friend that was there last week and he went after the kings, the salmon up there, and he was trolling. And he was getting them in 60 to 80 feet of water with a pearl hoochie behind a dodger and trolling, but you got to tip it with a bait like I showed you on my video how to cure it. And he put some nice fish in the boat. They're like 3 to 4 pounders. They're still deep, so it's better to troll. When they're deep like that, it's hard to catch them on the gitses. So if you're going to go up there and you want to catch salmon, go get your trolling gear and head out there, and you should be able to catch some fish. Then crappie. Crappie is going off the hook up at Clear Lake. Eli, a friend of mine, was up there. He sent me pictures of 2 and 3 pounders, and he's catching them on the south end of the lake using 1/16 ounce jig head with a crappie jig on there. So basically, this is the time of the year when you can just about go out and catch any kind of fish you want. We're right in the midst of the weather changing. You know, the days are getting longer. We just had daylight saving time. Well, fish are starting to come alive. So my tip of the week this week on baits is the brush hog. So I'm coming out with a video on it in the near future, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, hit the like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you a penny. Thanks for watching. There's also a friend of mine, Steve Cooper, who runs Deep on the Delta. Check out his site because he does a lot of fishing on the southern and central delta, and he posts a lot of tips. He posts every week. So look him up, Steve Cooper on Deep on the Delta.
Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.